I'm not really a Twitter guy, I never was. I'm more into the visual aspect of Instagram, and I'm pretty addicted to Facebook like the rest of us are. Twitter is something that I never really clicked with, I never really understood its value, but there was one thing I did on Twitter a few years ago that I was pretty proud of, and that was 30 debut feature tips. So I'd just been through this big process of Arrowhead, and first time director, you learned a lot just by throwing yourself into the fire. I wanted to share with the world 30 tips, so I did over 30 days. I'm gonna do one video per tweet. Yes, I'm gonna do all 30 of them, and we're gonna begin the first one right now. So let's not delay, let's jump straight into the first tip. Allow a day for pickups after assembly cut. We couldn't, but the edit would have benefited greatly from minor reshoots. The reason this is a really important one to me is I only had the footage that I had to work with, and the edit was really hard. I've mentioned this before, but the Arrowhead edit really existed with the only stuff that we could pull together, and we couldn't go back and shoot anything, we couldn't reshoot anything, but it would have been amazing to be able to just have one day budgeted for adding a new close-up shot here or adding a wide shot there. It would have been great to just bring one of the actors back and get a close-up shot that might have been missing from a certain scene. If we wanted a little reaction that we didn't get, we could have just brought them back, shot them in a close-up and gotten that reaction, shoot them against a green screen and splice the background in. There's always footage that you can find within your raw footage from the actual scene to splice in the background. I know that sounds dodgy, but imagine if you've got a really nice close-up with a soft background, you can composite that background in and blur it out, and really when the scene's working, no one will know the difference for that quick insert shot on someone's face. But it's not just reaction shots, you can do a lot in a day. We shot a lot of the scenes in just 4 hours. The entire ocean freighter scene where Hatch meets Kai was shot in 4 hours because we only had access to that ocean freighter location for that amount of time. So you can do a lot, even if you needed to add a tiny little scene that establishes one of the story elements or just something that strengthens the entire narrative. Getting someone there for a day, getting a small crew together for a day would have been extremely beneficial. I know budgets are always tight when you're doing an indie feature film, so adding a day actually is quite a bit of cost. All you need is a skeleton crew. All you need is yourself as director, you need a DP, you might need a camera assistant, although you can pull focus and change camera batteries yourself for this one day if you have to. You need the actor obviously and probably a sound guy, but this is just your skeleton team. This is the bare minimum people. Hopefully you have really passionate people around you anyway who are willing to go in and do the hard yards to get something done. These are the guys and girls that any filmmaker needs around them, and they're so important because you cannot do any of this on your own. But just get that team together, get them in a room, get them in a studio or on location somewhere and just reshoot something. Of course, we didn't have the luxury. We were literally out of money at that point and we couldn't stretch the budget any further. I didn't have $50 to put a crew together. I look back and I wish that we had, because Arrowhead is an achievement in itself. We got quite a lot in the can, but we crammed it all in 22 days. What's 23 days when you think about it, or what's 22 and a half days overall? When you're stretching the budget that thin, just cram a little bit more in. I'm talking about planning it up front. Add it to the budget, add it to the schedule, just get something in there you'll have up your sleeve. You can even try to add it in the actors' contracts. When we shot Quanta, this indie feature film that was even more low budget than Arrowhead, we made sure the 2 lead actors had a little detail in the contract that said that we could use them again for any minor reshoots, and we have done that. We shot most of Quanta in January 2017, and here we are, it's what, March 2018, and we just got done filming more scenes with the 2 leads, different scenes with the 2 leads, but that was a whole year later. We were able to look at the whole assembly cut, figure out what else we need, go and shoot these extra little scenes, and the movie is a lot better for it. Arrowhead didn't have that luxury, but that's why it was a first feature, and that's why I'm bringing you these debut feature tips. There's a lot to love about Arrowhead, I'm so proud of it, but I'm not afraid to admit its faults, and one of those faults is there's a big squid attack sequence where Kai is taken underground. This was planned as a really great visual scene with a couple of CGI tentacles that were going to come up out of the ground and grab Kai and drag him under. Sam and I were heartbroken because we were losing days, we were losing shots left, right, and center. We had so many shots planned. We were trying to do about 30 shots a day, but we ended up getting it down to about 18 on a good day. The weather was so hot, it was so difficult out there. So the night before this big squid attack scene, Sam and I got together and said, we're not going to be able to shoot the scene as planned. So we had to rethink everything on the fly. We showed up an hour early to set the next morning and kind of planned this half-baked version of it. It was really sad, but we just knew we weren't going to be able to figure out the logistics of dragging Kai across these really sharp rocks. And the scene's fine, it drives the narrative, it works, and Alicia and Dan's performances really do bring it home, but at the same time, I'll never be able to forget what it was going to be. I storyboarded the whole thing with these 3D storyboards, it was going to be epic. Now, what a major studio film would do is, if they were disappointed with a certain scene, they'd go back and reshoot the entire thing. They'd get a massive crew back together, they'd build a set again, or they'd go to location again and they'd do it all. But at an indie level, all that scene would have needed is a couple of insert shots here and there, a couple of moments that pop. Because really, one of the best ways to go about a scene when you're working at this low budget level is get the bare bones of the scene, make sure the foundations are working, make it simple if you have to, but then pick and choose your moments of spice. Those moments and visuals are going to stay in the audience's mind. A dynamic close-up here, a quick pan there. That's what a reshoot can give you. That's what I wish I would have done. But there's always going to be an element of regret when you're making a movie because there are so many variables and you cannot control every single one of them. It's a shame, but it's the way it is. Maybe next time I'll be able to do everything exactly as planned, but probably not. It's never going to be the case. So I'll allow myself to do at least one day of extra shooting at the back of the schedule, and the movie's going to be better for it. That's pretty short and sweet, but that's what these tips are going to be. Short, sweet, debut feature tips. There's 29 more to come, so keep watching. Please subscribe on YouTube because there's going to be a lot of these coming, and if you're not subscribed, you may not be notified of them all. If you've recently made your debut feature, I'd love for you to comment down below and tell me about your experience. Tell me if you were able to use a pickup day, or even if you're 10 features in and you're a veteran and you can think back on when you may have used reshoots. Let me know, let's talk about it, because honestly, coming out of this first feature, that was the #1 thing that I would respond with when people would ask me what I learned. Thanks so much, guys. I'm loving doing these videos, and I'll come back at you soon with a new one. Cut.